Okay. Think we're just about there. Tick, tick. Technology, there we go.
Okay, I think we're,
Just have some. Okay. Okay, so just before, we'd like to introduce that this is the meeting of the council for May 17th. It's we had a couple of technology issues, but we're pleased to welcome Mr. Ted Bentley and the Pickleball Association to make a presentation.
thank you,
Please.
Mayor Henderson. Well, as I said, I would like to begin with an 80-second video that introduces the sport and shows you how it's integrated into the seashell culture. So if I can, I will start the video. And that's Kinnickinnick and the recent volunteer fair. "15 years old, pro play." This was the 2018 Canada Day that we were very much a part of. And then last year's Canada Day at Hackett. We had a great turnout. That's it. We have a longer video,
Right.
but I've cut that down, and thank you, Diane Lamb, for putting that together, and thank you, Gloria, for making it work. We're working on it a couple of days ago. So if I could now, press that. So what I want to do is move on to the ask, kind of the important part here. You've seen this hopefully in our proposal. And it's a lease on Seashell District land between the Rackets Club and the arena, terms similar to those of the Rackets Club. And we would request assistance in securing grants. The proposed site is in between there, as I said. In our opinion, this is a very efficient use of the district land, concentration of recreational amenities, and we're utilizing an otherwise kind of a tricky place to build. It leaves the southern portion of the lot available for future daycare or other recreational activity. Of course, we would be very receptive if there was a location just below the tennis club. It would give us a slightly higher profile, but as diagrammed there, that meets our needs. The access off the driveway to the arena hopefully is possible, but if it isn't, we'd come off Lighthouse into the parking area as diagrammed. The proposed facility, this is a frame drawing supplied to us by the Metal Building Group, and that's the same company that supplied the Rackets Club building. And the elongated shape serves us well for the courts, you'll see in the next diagram. And it, compared to our previous proposal, where we had an air-supported dome, metal gives us the opportunity, I think, to secure funding, mortgage, and it's certainly a longer lasting facility. There is an alternative to this, and that would be a fabric on steel building like the Vernon Pickleball Club. So once we have a building site and a firmer grasp on capital budgets, we'll consider the options. The proposed 8-court facility, I'm not going to go through all the dimensions. They're in the proposal. I would like to say that if it's at all possible, we'd love to put a viewing area, a mezzanine floor above the entrance and social, like you see in curling rinks, to expand our social function and give an opportunity to overlook the courts. The interior playing area would be lined for pickleball courts, and the priority is pickleball, but the nets would be freestanding, which is a little different from what I had in the proposal, where I had them inserted into the flooring. Since then, we've talked about getting quality freestanding nets so that in a minute or two, you can clear the courts and the space would be available for other use. So there's no center posts or anything that obstructs that playing surface. So besides the possibility of other sports, there are rental activities or events like an art crawl, Christmas craft fair, product fair, and so on. The key, in our estimation, is to keep it flexible. We know we have demand for the pickleball courts, and we think by keeping it flexible, we have opportunity to use it for other purposes as well. Capital cost, it's always challenging, but the nice thing is I have a quote right now from Metal Building Group that comes in well under the $1 million figure, and that's including the materials, ship to Sechelt, installation, freight, and taxes. So well under. The other costs identified there are a bit more, I'm going to say speculative. We've done our best research on those, but they're not nailed down as completely as the building itself. So it's coming in at shy of $2 million. So it's a challenge, but given the talent and the community-minded spirit, we can do it. I know we can do it. The capital funds, we conducted a member survey in March 2023, which tested the waters for donations and debentures. And the response was beyond our expectation. We don't have hard dollars in the bank, but we generated significant pledges. And at that point, again, we can do it. The Vernon Club raised $1 million via debentures in one day. They're a bigger club, but we only have to raise 450,000. So, hey, we can do it. And we're hopeful that we can attract a significant number of local sponsors, naming opportunity for the building, like the arenas, sponsors around the facility. Annual operating expenses, although just an estimate, the hydro costs with LED lighting and heat pumps are minimized. Heating, winter temperature, we're not going up to room temperature. It's 60 degrees Fahrenheit or 15 degrees Celsius is comfortable, and then cooling in the summer. So nice year-round facility. Debt servicing is always the big one, and there's 57.5 identified there as debt servicing. I would love to reduce that by knocking down the capital mortgage and debentures, but we've got that identified as an expense at this point. The annual revenue, the membership dues, we've explored various membership dues models, all realistic. We could generate the 80K based on our 270 membership. Today, 4 new members. So it's growing. We're going to hit well over 300 by year end. And we would offer annual, seasonal, partner, family memberships to the facility. Our goal is to keep these as reasonable as possible. Membership would include full access to the facility with no additional fee. The drop-in fees apply to guests visitors to the coast, but not members. Sponsors and grants, fundraising, tournaments, coaching, rentals. I think, if anything, we're being very conservative there. So I think in year one, 102K is quite a reasonable expectation. Oh, okay. Well, we've been photobombed by the PM. Carol, an opportunity to market this T-shirt, and of course, we'd expect corresponding federal grant to come in there. The sport itself, fastest growing sport in North America. It's been that way for a few years. 36.5 million players. You get different numbers all over the place, but that's commonly quoted. Many communities, since we last presented here, have added pickleball courts. Vernon completed theirs. Oliver, Christina Lake, the pickleball capital of
Amazing. Yeah.
Canada. Sechelt, you missed an opportunity. Anyway, we move on. West Van, Vancouver, Squamish, they're all adding courts. And beyond that, there's a lot of entrepreneurial activity. Richmond is adding a huge new facility as a business venture. I visited a site in Bellingham, Bali, an entrepreneurial activity, courts were full. Bend, Oregon, the epicenter of pickleball, has a wonderful facility, as does Kent in Washington. The community benefit, I think it's in your package. I'd just like to quickly review it though. Seniors are the fastest growing demographic on the coast. 2021 census shows over 51% of coast residents 55 or older. It meets the needs of 400 plus pickleball players on the coast, offers expanded opportunity to families and youth, flexible space for special events, increased opportunity for Sechelt tourism. Do not underestimate that. I was at Hackett not that long ago. There was a group of women playing on a getaway from Squamish. They came to Sechelt. They wanted to play pickleball. So it is a draw. We can make it a draw. So the proposed location also makes sense from a planning point of view because there's pickleball, tennis, arena, hiking, golf, sports fields. It's all there. And we have been in communication with the Rackets Club, and they fully support what we're doing here. I know I had this up last time, but it's too good to pass. It's dated now, but it hasn't been updated. It's from the SCRD 5-year Parks and Recs Master Plan. And paragraph 41 says we have to monitor the needs of the population 55 years of age and older to determine where there's a lack of activities and opportunities for this age group. Plan and promote programs for older adults, ages 55 to 70. Let's increase the 70 to allow me, let's say 90, based on different levels of ability, and avoid marketing this group as seniors. Thank you. But what
Great.
really catches my eye is establish a grant allocation policy, a set of criteria, an application process, and a budget to provide seed money to support groups and organizations who support the achievement of a master plan's goals and service level requirements. So it's a perfect alignment. I know I'm talking to Sechelt with the SCRD as well. The alignment between the parks plan and the ever increasing appeal of pickleball to seniors. So I'm going to end with an invitation, a thanks, and an unsolicited email that arrived just this morning. So there's the thanks. The invitation is a sincere one to all of you. Contact us, bring your family. We'd love to show you the game. We'll provide all the equipments. We'll see you on the courts. Now, the email. This I couldn't pass up. This is from Jared Herdman. I'm 33 years old and I've been playing pickleball for 10 years. I have competed in tournaments around Western North America at the highest levels and have visited countless communities and have witnessed the incredible ability pickleball has in bringing multi-generational players together and creating everlasting bonds between people of all ages and off the court, on and off the court. This does not happen in these communities without accessible, dedicated courts. The sport is simple to learn and challenging to master, which makes it the most inclusive sport in the world. I love this sport and play every week. I play with my children, 4 years old and 7 years old. I play with a growing number of people my age and people who are 1 and 2 generations above me. More and more younger people are adopting pickleball on the Sunshine Coast, and having a dedicated facility to accommodate the growth is essential to encourage multi-generational play and learn from each other for years to come. Thank you, Jared, for this unsolicited letter. And I'm inspired by your comments. I see future 5.0 players in your kids. They'll be playing in our facility right up there. I know it, and they'll be bringing pickleball to the coast. That's the future. So hopefully you share our enthusiasm and our vision, and you're ready to volley the ball, so to speak, back to our court so that we can take the next step in advancing the proposal. Our engines are revved, waiting for the green light. Yes, we can.
Great.
Thank you.
Ted, thank you. Yeah. Talk about bringing your own cheerleading. You know. Why? So I think you're familiar, the approach with delegations is council is welcome to ask questions just to clarify things you've said or other related questions, but of course we're not here to discuss the specific proposal. So
Understood.
With that, I'll turn to council and Councillor Rowe.
Thank you for the presentation. And as some of you may know from my past being involved with Sunshine Coast Minor Hockey for many years, we've often been around the table with competing interests. So I really, I can't tell you how happy I am to see you guys back in front of us with a really well thought out, I think anyways, proposal. One feedback would be, I would agree, and I would support that you undershoot things like fundraising and sponsorship. I think you're way low. I'm a big proponent of any sort of recreation for our community. I think, you know, COVID shows us an example of what happens when that gets taken away from us. But I can't underestimate the value, economically speaking, that any sort of drawing, whether it's a soccer tournament, hockey tournament, pickleball tournament, can bring to our local community. So I think you're right on the mark there. My one question is, when you talk about renting the facility out to other user groups, I know the racquetball or the racket courts are very specific with the floor. Do you guys have that same issue? Would there be limitations around that?
Well, I don't think the roller girls will be playing there, but you know, other activities, as long as the surface, which would likely be asphalt, is not damaged and the line's not damaged, I think, well, obviously sports like badminton or if there was an area that required some protection, we could put something down to protect it. The wonderful thing is it's a huge space that could be multi-purpose. And unfortunately, maybe some of you have seen letters by myself to the Coast Reporter that regrettably we lack a gymnasium on this coast. I really think that's unfortunate. And this in many ways can serve in part as a gymnasium, but focus on pickleball. I don't want
Yes,
this crowd.
Okay, I'll turn to Councillor Inkster.
Thank you. I'm going to ask this question as the 1982 Thousand Trails Laconnor pickleball champion. So how many people out there played before me? Think about that. 1982. No,
Was this on Bainbridge Island that you learned it? That's
no,
where the-
Laconnor.
Okay.
Yeah, there's
Well,
So
Laconnor.
Councillor
Yeah.
Inkster, you have a question?
Just answering the question.
Okay.
It was. Yeah. So in 2005, I identified that area and when I ran for election and was reelected as the recreation area for Seashell. And that included proposals such as this. So I'm supportive like others of using that land for needed recreational facilities. I just wanted to ask you about your building. You presented the metal building and I wasn't clear in the exterior. If you just want to mention that again, and as you describe it, could you tell me, will it stand up to our winter winds?
Oh, absolutely. It's basically the same exterior as the current Rackets Club.
Okay,
So it's metal clad,
okay,
metal roof. Double doors at each end.
yeah,
Much better security than say an air dome or a fabric structure. We really would like to keep to the metal building. It would be consistent in appearance
yeah.
with the Rackets Club and would be not vulnerable to vandalism.
Okay,
Great,
and I hope
thank
you
you.
put some gardens up front too, a little bit. The tennis club said they do that and didn't, so we need to see a little
Okay,
bit.
we'll.
Yeah. I know.
Yeah, I was waiting for that.
Spring flowers.
Okay, yes, I, yes. Okay, just want to check with Counselor Toth that you're hearing us okay? Did you have a question?
I do, thank you. Just real quick, super supportive of the project. Glad to see it's being refined. I know we were, the previous council was supportive of you guys when you came forward in the past. The one thing that I do have some concern about is if you've talked to either the SCRD or the Racquetball Club about trying to share parking facilities more. I see as we develop individual projects on this property, we're going to end up with a lot of parking lot, which may not be all used at the same time. And as we know, when we develop our parcels sort of piecemeal, like we did in block 7, we can end up with a pretty bad parking layout. So I'm just wondering if you guys have looked at shared parking scenarios.
Maybe, can I jump in? Because I wanted to ask what is the relationship with the tennis club? So perhaps you could put those two or answer both of those.
Well, it's a better relationship than what often exists
Mhm.
with.
Just
Tennis
lean in a bit to the
Oh,
mic. Yeah, thanks.
we have a positive relationship. But they want their courts for tennis, and rightly so. But I sent an email to Tamara, the president of the Rackets Club. We've met a couple of times in the past few months, and she wished us good luck tonight.
Okay.
Uh,
And Counselor
answering-
Toth's question about parking?
Yes, so I was looking at the bylaws here, and I believe if the services are not competing for the numbers at the same time, so the arena and our facility, that the parking requirement could be cut down to 75%. That's my understanding. So we would have to abide by the bylaws, but to answer directly Councillor Toth's question, we have not approached the SCRD directly. That is a huge parking lot. But I think our two activities would be like sufficiently incompatible that we could share some parking there.
Okay. Great, thank you. Counselor Bell?
Thank you. First of all, thank you very much for coming and bringing all this great energy in here. We needed that right now. So good for you and for your great presentation, being well prepared. I'm encouraged to hear that you want to use this also as a multi-purpose space. What that says to me is it can be a sense of community, which is so important, and inclusive, which is also very important for this community. So I'm encouraged to hear that. And thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything else, Council? No? Okay, well, what do you want from us?
Elise.
Okay, great.
No, I know
Yep.
this is the first step, but if we would, as I said, our engines are revved, we're ready for liftoff, unlike WestJet. And
Bad choice, bad choice.
So, as soon as we get a green light, I know there are details for the lease, but it's essentially the same as the Rackets Club.
Okay, great,
So
thanks.
you've got a good starting point right there.
Counselor Rose had a,
One more question. If pickleball's gotten any bad press recently or over the past little while, it's been around noise.
Right.
So what does that look like inside a building, like your best case scenario? What, because I know a lot of the complaints, they've been outside courts. So do you have any comments on the noise level?
Pickleballers love the noise inside. It's part of the energy we bring to the sport.
Yeah.
Outside can be a problem. So if you put it in a residential area, then it's a problem outside. So this seems, whether it's in between the two facilities or below the Rackets Club, it seems like an ideal location. Maybe not, well, it depends what the situation is with the daycare, but between the two, I can't imagine any noise issues with the daycare. We'd have just probably a whole bunch of kids wanting to play.
well,
Start
not
me up.
those in the daycare probably. Might be a bit young. Okay, that okay? Yeah. Great. In that case, thank you and thank you, everyone. You're really welcome to stay for the next hour and a half or 2 hours.
Much as we would like to, we thank you. We will move on.
Yep. Thanks, everyone. That's okay. Thanks. Hey. Yeah, no. Okay. And then there was. Okay, folks, we'll continue with our council meeting. Yeah. I didn't. Yeah, aren't they though? Yes. Thank you for coming. Yeah. Okay. Well, council will try and maintain the level of enthusiasm. So council, you've got in your agenda a proclamation that on June 8th, I proclaim World Oceans Day in the District of Sechelt. And one that's really important and just got it today, but it's my pleasure to proclaim May 14th to 20th as Local Government Awareness Week. And also May 17th today as Asset Management Awareness Day in the District of Sechelt. So enjoy the rest of Asset Management Awareness Day. Council, we've got a APC 5.1 APC meeting minutes on pages 13 to 18 for receipt. I could have a motion to that effect for those who have read them. Thank you. Seconded. So I gotta remember that we have Councillor Tough. All in favor of receipt? Carried. We can then go to the notice of motion on item 6.1 on page 19. So, council, this is before us. Councillor Toth, do you wish to speak to this?
Thank you. I think that the motion generally speaks to itself. Our fire department does some pretty amazing work without any question. Just some questions about that letter that they have sent that the Fire Protection District has sent previously, and some questions that I would love for us to be able to sit down together and try and answer in a public forum for our community. Procedurally, I don't expect this to be dealt with tonight, as I think we need to have a certain threshold willing to deal with it tonight, but it is here regardless.
Okay, thank you. I saw this in the agenda on Monday and took the bold effort to call the fire chief, and I'm pleased to say that he and some of the trustees are pleased to attend next week to our committee of the whole meeting. So perhaps some of this can be addressed at that point. I did not reach out without council's support for the last piece of this notice of motion. So I quite agree that we need to make sure this stays front and center. There's I think we're all concerned. We see in the TV about the wildfires in Alberta and Port St. John with evacuation notices and so on. So I think it's certainly something the fire department is pleased to come and talk to us about. And so I think Councillor Inkster, did you have a question?
Where'd this originate? I wasn't clear.
I believe it came Councillor Toth.
Oh, okay. Usually there's a name
So,
attached to
yes.
it, so, yeah, okay.
Yep. So so council, I mean, perhaps I can put it to you, Councillor Toth. How do you want to proceed, recognizing that there is a commitment from the Fire Protection District and the VFD to join us next week?
Thank you. If council's willing, I'd love for us to proceed with this tonight. I think if they're coming, it'd be good to also have the SCRD board chair and CAO there to sort of talk about disaster response and water supply management for disaster response from their perspective as well at the same meeting.
Okay. Yes, Councillor Rowe.
I would agree. The letter that the Fire Improvement District sent had some great information in it around process and fire ratings, et cetera. But the crux of it was what the drought looked like last year from their perspective. And so I'm very grateful that you reached out to them. That's great. But I would also really appreciate the board chair and the CAO of the SCRD being invited to attend.
Okay. I don't know that we can speak, well, certainly we can't speak on their behalf, but I'll go to Councillor McLaughlin. You look like you're poised.
Yes, thank you, through the chair. I was just wondering if there's other fire district agencies that might be part of this, not just the Seashell one. I mean, you know, it's the whole community. And so I'm just concerned that they're not included in this. Thank you.
Are you talking about the other fire departments in the coast? Yeah. Well, I mean, the Seashell Fire Protection District's mandate includes Seashell. The others do not include Seashell. So perhaps we can start with this and see where it goes. That then, yeah, be my comment. We can certainly, if we feel after the first presentation, we could extend invitations, but yes, Councillor Inkster.
I mean, we could add the only one I would additionally add if we're having a, fire discussion or it's specifically to some information that was provided to us a number of weeks ago is add the BC Wildfire Service that is located at our airport. And they're probably here now because it's coming into the season. So that's who I would invite if anybody else. The other fire protection areas and are funded through the regional district and or the town of Gibson's and or Pender Harbor funded, discussed, directed at the board table and or community of Gibson's. So I don't know if I think we would be a little bit outside of our jurisdiction asking them to come. So that would be the ones I would ask to come as the wildfire service if we had anybody else. Thanks.
Great, thank you. Councillor Bell.
To the chair, I'd like to see this as part of the bigger picture. I mean, I sent an earlier email out about emergency preparedness. And this I see as part of it. So I think it's a great start. I think it's just the start of one conversation we need to have and one area that we need to start to look at as part of the bigger plan.
Yes, Councillor McLaughlin.
Yes, through the chair. Yeah, I guess my concern was I'm just trying to promote coordination through the coast collaboration, you know, as the Lower Sunshine Coast. And I just think that's one step way to do it. Also, Sea Salt First Nation would be something maybe to consider as well.
Yes, and in the context of getting some information, I guess, I think all of those things have merit in due course, but let's not bite off more than we can chew. We want the meeting next week at this point, and to include other people may be challenging for their schedules, including
If I may.
board chair and the CAO. Yes, Councillor Top,
Thank you. I will stop waving frantically, trying to get attention here.
please.
I just wanted to point out that the Pender Harbor Fire Protection District is the only other fire improvement district on the coast. The rest of the fire departments are all coordinated through the Sunshine Coast Regional District, who is also responsible for overall emergency management for the coast. So I think it's a good opportunity to have the priority organizations in the room. You know, when we talk about the Sea Salt Nation, they're serviced by the Sea Salt Fire Protection District already. So I think it's the conversation is about fire protection, water relating to that. You know, if we've got BC Wildfire responding to a fire, they're not usually using potable water to fight that fire. But if that conversation expands that way, then so be it.
Okay, Councillor Bell.
Forward a motion that
Yep.
we do, that we offer this next week. We have the fire department come and with an invitation to the CEO and chair of the SCRD.
Board chair
Board
and the
chair.
CAO.
Board chair.
Is there a seconder for that? Okay. Okay, so that's different than the notice of motion. You're just saying that we, whatever, accept the offer from the Fire Protection District to attend, and that we also extend an invitation to the SCRD. Okay. Yeah, okay. Okay, any further discussion? All in favor? Carried. Councillor Toth, I'm sorry, I did look, I thought I saw your hand in favor.
Yep, I voted in the affirmative. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, now we get to Sergeant Road, and I believe we have Mr. Krobowitz to speak to us succinctly. I meant to say briefly, I meant to say. Oops. Very quietly as well, as we give him a microphone. When are those new microphones coming?
Thank you. I have a brief presentation to walk through this file. It's a few moving pieces to it, so bear with me. This application was received way back in 2019, but due to the very complicated nature of preparing this bylaw and doing the background survey work and preparation for bringing this to council, it's taken a number of years to do this in coordination with the Ministry of Transportation and the property owners and Surveyor General as well. So the location of the property is out towards Half Moon Bay. It's a large parcel south of the highway along the waterfront. And you can see the zigzagging area on here is where what's known as Sergeant Road, although it's not an officially named road. It's an unused but dedicated road allowance. So the proposal involves essentially a swap. It's a closure and relocation of this Sergeant Road allowance, which doesn't follow any particular topography or features. We don't know the history of why it was originally dedicated like this. But needless to say, it doesn't serve any useful purpose for the district at this time. So in working with the property owners, a proposal was made that the road be relocated further to the south to take advantage of some existing trail locations and also a very attractive cove area near the beach that would serve as a much more functional beach access destination. It's also more conveniently situated as a usable beach access because it's in between two existing beach accesses, one being on off of Dale Road, closer to Seashell, and the other one being Annex Road, which goes, I believe it's called Cardiac Beach, or the Cardiac Beach access, which is in this area over here. So it's sort of in between, which is about the appropriate spacing for beach accesses. From a legislative point of view, a closure and removal of road dedication is legislated through a specific process that requires public notice be given, opportunity for input, and public advertising of that closure. In this case, there's also a disposition involved, which is once the road has been closed and title raised to that road, it is then transferred to the property owner in exchange for a new dedication on another portion of the property. And to secure that process, we've entered into what's called a road exchange agreement, which lays out and is attached to the staff report. It lays out the specific process to ensure that the transfer happens or in an orderly fashion. The next step at this point is for council to give 3 readings to the bylaw, at which point we would undertake public notification and approval from the Ministry of Transportation for the closure of the road. And it would be brought back to council for adoption at a future date, and the exchange would take place after that. Just to give a little bit more of a background on the beach access itself, as this was considered by a previous council. This is the area on the property that would sort of be the terminus of the beach access trail. It's a nicely sheltered cove, quite attractive views. The trail itself goes through a mature forest. There's a rudimentary trail in place right now, but in the future it would require construction of a more suitable access. This is an example of the view above the cove from the trees, and some views south towards the trail islands, as well as north towards Sergeant's Bay, and that's a view of the protected cove area. And I'd be happy to answer any questions if anyone has any. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kovitz. Ms. Councillor Inkster.
Mr. Kovitz, I wanted to just ask you, do you have the map, the original map that you had there? You didn't walk out, did you? Hopefully. Just want to ask a question about that, if you have it. As you find that, I just was going to ask yourself, or maybe while you're doing that, Mr. Director Allen, if he knows what triggered this road exchange. Is the property going to be developed soon? I think all of council knows this property. When they drive to Half Moon Bay, it's the big forested piece on your left.
Question is it going to be developed in the near future?
Yeah, but I'm filling the space because I'm waiting for the map. I just wanted to question. To ask for, want to see where.
I can answer that. I'm pulling it up at the same time. It is in the staff report as well.
Yeah.
There's no plans for development of the property. This is there's no new lots being created or anything like that. This is part of the owners of the property on the gallery here tonight.
Okay.
Which you can ask them as well, but it's essentially just a redistribution amongst family of the estate of the lands.
Right. Yep. Very good. Is that okay? Yep. Okay, Councillor Bell. Councillor McLaughlin. Yes.
Just a clarification, you mentioned about it would require, the path would require more suitable access. That will be at the expense of the owners?
The development of a beach access trail itself would be at the expense of the district at some future point. There's currently no existing dedicated trail access on Sergeant's Road itself. So again, it's a swap essentially for a dedication that's unsuitable for one that is more amenable to a future beach access.
And a public access.
And a public
Thank you.
access. There are rudimentary trails in place at this point, but I don't believe that the district would have any plans to open as an official signed beach access at this point.
Thank you.
Councillor McLaughlin.
Yes, thank you. Thank you through the chair. I'm just wondering if you could explain, because I don't see any pictures of it, of what the beach is like, where the current road allowance is. 'Cause it looks like a bigger beach area, but it might be very high bank or something.
I do have photos of that area. It's a very large, like it's a beach that has a lot of very large boulders on it. So you can definitely get down. It's kind of similar. It's not high bank or anything. The problem with it is that the way that the current road dedication sort of terminates on the land, it doesn't go to that beach. You would have to trespass over their property to get to kind of any useful access. So it's just not in a location that makes it suitable for getting to the beach, if that makes sense.
And it's currently zoned,
RU1, I
I
believe,
thought it's
rural
R1.
resident.
Thought it was R1,
Well,
but. So it is.
Nothing is changing though. in this.
Yeah, but I mean, this road might be a lot more suitable for the owners in terms of this road allowance, in terms of actually putting in R1 lots or whatever, RU1, I think it's R1.
The road configuration as it is right now would not be suitable for any
Yeah.
constructed road. It just
Yeah.
doesn't follow any topography. It
Okay.
kind of goes down and back up and zigzags all over the place. We kind of thought at one point maybe it was an old logging trail or goat trail or something like that, but there's no signs of anything, so it would not be suitable. If there was to be any future development on this property at that point, the district could reconfigure road networks as we normally do through the subdivision or rezoning process. So should that happen at some point in the future, that would be something to revisit.
Yeah, I'm thinking the
So
proposed
to me, please,
road.
Counselor.
Yeah, the proposed road looks like it would be more direct and more suitable, but it's a road allowance as such, but it could be a path, but it could also be a road. Yeah.
Thank you. Yes, Counselor Rowe.
Through you to staff, at the end of the day, and I mean, I can see it on the drawing, but I just want to reiterate, the district is winning when it comes to ocean frontage with this new road. Easier to access and more of it, correct?
Yes, we believe the district is in a good position with getting something that is more in the public benefit than what exists currently.
Yes, Counselor Toth. Thank you for your patience.
Thank you. Yeah, and I think Councillor Rowe really got it with that question. I think this is better than what we have access to now. Happy to move the recommendation on page 20 as presented.
Thank you. Is there a seconder, Counselor Rowe? Any further discussion? This is the motion that we give 3 readings as opposed to the 3 readings itself. So all in favor? Opposed? Carried. And then we can move, council, with your support to pages 24. Nope, beg your pardon. To bylaw 6, yes. Page 46, that be correct? This is the bylaw number 602-2022. Okay, great. So as presented on pages 46 and 47, a motion for first reading, please. Moved and seconded. Favor? Opposed? Carried. Motion, then second reading if you wish. Counselor Rowe, Counselor Bell, thank you. Any discussion? All in favor? Counselor McLaughlin, you're abstaining? Okay, thank you. And third reading. Motion, please. Thank you. Seconded. Any discussion on third reading? All in favor? Carried. All right, thank you, Mr. Kowitz. Thank you. Council, we move to then the airport user fees bylaw. Page 52, etc. And I believe we have Ms. Smith. Oh, there she is. Very nice lighting.
Thank you.
Do you wish to, any comments you'd like to provide?
Sure, I can do an intro to the report. So the purpose of the report is to bring forward proposed user fees for the District of Sechelles Airport and for council to give 3 readings to fees and charges amendment bylaw number 5759, 2023. So the staff are looking to increase our current airport or airplane tie down fee from $300 to $550 over a 3-year period. Staff feel that the incremental approach is less impactful to airport users. And in addition, staff would like to impose vehicle parking fees for those users who stay overnight and longer. We researched fees from 3 BC airports of similar size and set the fees for the Sechelles Airport based on that information that we received from the Squamish, Qualicum, and Powell River airports. Fees for these locations ranged from $560 to $880 for the tie down, and the vehicle parking fees similar to what we're proposing. Other airports surveyed charges fees for day services such as parking and tie down, but we are proposing that those fees remain, or those days remain free of charge. And in addition, the revenue for the airport services would help maintenance and operations of the Sechelles Airport. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Great, thank you. Council? Please, Councillor Rowe.
I don't see it, so I'm just double checking that there's not a prorated rate for the annual tie down fee.
Yeah, so we would have a prorated. Anything after June 30th would be half the annual fee.
Okay, for both vehicle parking and the aircraft tie down.
Yes,
Okay,
that would have to be amended because it does say that it's not mentioned in the actual bylaw.
thank you.
Thank you.
Great. Questions? Perhaps you did reference, Ms. Smith, that you'd looked at other airports. Can you give us which ones you consider to be comparable?
Yeah, so Squamish, Qualicum, and Powell River.
And do they, I mean, Powell River is certainly more of a full-fledged airport. So I guess their charges are presumably higher than what we're suggesting.
Yeah, and Qualicum as well. Their rate, actually the highest rate that they charge is $880, and that's a commercial tie down on concrete versus ours is just grass. So they do vary depending on what they're offering, whether it's concrete, grass, whether there's power. We have power that is included in our tie down fees, and some are an optional fee that's on top of that, of their tie down fee.
Thank you. Is he waving? Yes, you are. Please, Councillor Collins.
Thank you. I guess I've got a question in terms of operationalizing, overnight vehicle parking, or, if somebody's staying, just one night for a tie down, is it something that they're able to pay through the airport manager, or they call into the district with a credit card, or are we going to install a parking meter for aircraft up there? Just looking to see how this is actually operationalized.
Or perhaps a QR code?
Yes. Yeah, thanks.
That's your intro, Ms. Smith.
Yeah, thank you for the question. Yes, we're going to be implementing a process, sorry. I guess it's going to be a terminal-free process with using QR codes. So there's actually no hardware going to be on the site, but airport users can also give cash to the manager, or they could even call into the district office with a credit card number. But the QR code is kind of where we're going to, because there's no fee for having that service, and it's just easy to implement, and there's no handling of cash.
Essentially, it's an honor system.
Well, we'll still have the airport manager still will be there, and he'd be able to view reports as to see who's paid and who hasn't. So they would still be monitored.
Okay. Yes, so not that one.
I'll move recommendation 1 that council proceed with 3 readings of the Fees and charges amendment bylaw number 575-9, 2023.
Thank you very much. And we have a seconder, I think, Councillor Bell. All right, any further discussions? I'll then call the question on the recommendation to proceed with 3 readings. All in favor? Carried. And then if you would like to do first, second, and third readings, folks, this starts on page 55. And it is bylaw 575-9, 2003. 23. Motion, please, for first. Second, okay, seconded, all in favor. First. Carried motion for second reading. Wish, look this side, thank you. And seconded, all in favor of second reading. Carried. And a motion for third reading, please. Thank you, Councillor Toth. And seconded, all in favor of third reading. Motion carries. Perfect. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Smith. Yeah. Now we go to 7.3 road names bylaw. And this is for us for third reading. Anything new? This is anything new to highlight? Alan, would you like to avail yourself of a microphone?
Yes, thank you. Nothing new to highlight, but would like to point out that we have a property owner anxiously awaiting receipt of a civic address because there's a road that requires a name. So it's just for third reading this evening and not able to adopt because the required days difference between third and fourth, but we'll bring this back next time, assuming third reading tonight. And the bevy of names there is a choice for folks to have, and we're running out of choices at the moment. Thank you.
Okay, very good. Thank you. So council, any concerns? Can we move the recommendation on page 57? Yes. Is that, go ahead. Just, I'd like to, if there's, we can get a motion on the table.
Okay.
Then we can have discussion. So, for a motion? Yes, and the seconder? Thank you. Councilor McLaughlin.
Yeah, I just wanted, through the chair, I just wanted to point out that they did get some feedback from Seashell First Nations. That they're quite busy right now with other things, but they do reserve the right to comment later. So that's good. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else? I'll call this question. All in favor? Carried. And then we do the 3 readings. Oh, this is for bylaw 614-2023. What of it? Just for, thank you. I'm on autopilot here. Third reading for bylaw 614-2023. Thank you. And seconded. Any discussion? All in favor? Motion carries. Thank you. So that'll come back to us in a couple of weeks or 3 weeks. Yeah. Terrific. Moving right along to page 63, GCC. Cost charges in respect of, yes, Sunshine Coast Community Services. And this is again, hardworking Mr. Kobowitz.
Thank you. This is a request that we've received from Community Services Society for a waiver of the development cost charges related to their Building Together project at Inlet Avenue. This property was rezoned in 2021, and last year a development permit was issued. And they are gearing up for building permit issuance and undertaking construction of this project. And at this time, we've received a waiver. Typically, waivers are delegated to the Director of Planning, but this waiver is being presented to Council for their consideration. The project itself is providing 34 units of deep subsidy affordable housing for women and women with children. This is BC Housing will own and operate the rental units that are above the community services programming and office space. These units are what's referred to as deep subsidy or rent geared to income units, that these are the most affordable units that BC Housing subsidizes for this type of housing. So for a council consideration tonight is the waiver of the DCCs associated with this project. Thank you.
Mhm. Thank you. So this is all DCCs, all the 4 categories of DCCs will be is the proposal.
That's correct.
Councillor Bell, did you? No, not yet.
Through the chair. So clarification, so that's 340,000?
Mhm.
Yes, okay.
Councillor Inkster.
So Green Court came to council a number of years ago and was given a DCC waiver for their project that's just behind us. And hopefully we'll see what happens with their second building because they may ask for that again. One of the considerations that we may not have considered then, we just wanted to get that affordable housing project moving forward, was the fact that the DCCs weren't contributed in some key areas. So I have no problem with encouraging these projects with not collecting them, but it would be neat if we could find a way internally to fund a couple of those DCC that we're not collecting on. So it would be something to talk about.
Okay.
Because it was probably something we should have done with Green Court, figured out a way to deal with it, but also move the project forward. It was actually the linchpin to move that project forward at that time, just so council knows, but that was something we didn't give strong consideration to, is how do we move money around to cover the deficit in a sense. So
Mhm. Okay, that's probably a good lead. I wanted to bring up, there's a distinction I make between the 4 categories of DCCs, because generally properties pay for the other 3, but only people in the sewer user areas pay the sewer DCCs. So when we waive, in this case, the sewer DCCs, it's really only being funded by people, it's not being funded effectively by the whole community. Because the whole community doesn't pay sewer, doesn't contribute to that. So I'd like council to consider that, and I guess staff to consider, is it equitable for us to have, it's a unique situation really, because of the fact that not everybody in Sechelt is on sewer. Is it equitable to take a piece of the community and have them waive DCCs for this project? I suggest it's not, and it's not a lot of money, but I think it's important to get that clear and almost as perhaps a policy. Something to think about. Councillor McLaughlin.
Oh. Somebody else first.
Geez, you're okay.
Yes, thank you through the chair. I was just wondering, in terms of DCCs, are DCCs waived for other types of maybe institutional projects like schools, for instance?
I can answer that question. No, the Local Government Act lays out the only exemptions or waivers that can be offered by local governments, and affordable housing projects like this are one of the specified types of development that can have their DCCs waived. Just to follow up on Councillor Inkster's comment earlier about Green Court, the second building for the Green Court Arbutus project did have their DCC waivers considered by the previous council. And there were different categories of affordable units in that project. So only the portion that had the similar makeup as the deep subsidy units, those were fully waived. And then there were some below market units that were partially waived, and the at market units that are a part of that proposal were required to pay their full DCCs.
Thank you. Every now and then I got to remember to look at the screen. Councillor Toth.
Thank you.
Put your hand up. Thank you.
Thank you very much for remembering to check on me there. Staff may not be able to answer this question, but it's recognized that because the water DCCs are the purview of the SCRD, community services would have to make application to the SCRD. Do our staff know if community services has made that application or will be making that application? Thank you.
Very good question, because that's quite a bit of money, isn't it?
Yes, that process would be entirely administered by the SCRD.
So we're not necessarily aware of whether that's started, but not sure it's directly relevant to our matter before us, but
I'm not aware.
yeah, thanks. Is that okay, Councillor Toth?
It'll do for now. And if there's no other questions, I'm happy to move the recommendation on page 63.
I had a question.
Okay, just we have a motion, so before I need to see if there's a seconder before we can have discussion. Okay. Yes, Councillor McLaughlin.
Yes, thank you through the chair. I've forgotten it. Oh,
Okay, maybe just take
Yeah.
a minute. I am
remember.
curious for our education. So the waivers are by and large limited to things like affordable housing, hospitals. For example, Mr. Allen, it's more for council's education. Well,
Sure, betcha. Seashell Hospital is located outside of the district of Seashell, so has not been a consideration for us.
Mm.
The development cost charge bylaw refers to not-for-profit affordable housing societies. So it's not so simple as one arguing on providing affordable housing. It has to be a society with housing agreements that we've been utilizing at rezoning and or development permit applications, typically relating to funding from BC Housing and whatnot. So it's pretty limited in that regard. The bylaw does allow the director of planning to make this decision. We brought second building of Green Court through to council in probably 2020, and now this one. While it allows me to make a decision, I recognize, number one, we don't really have an accompanying policy behind this for structure. Number two, it is largely more of a political than technical decision, and so we're pleased to provide the report for staff to consider here, rather than us arbitrarily making that decision. But generally speaking, or not generally, specifically, it's about not-for-profit affordable housing at this point.
mhm. Great, thank you.
Yes, through the chair. My question was just, do they have all the funding available that they need to proceed? Because, I mean, a while ago, they had quite a shortfall. So I'm just wondering if this is the right time in case that somehow, we provide some extra funding or something that we can use other funding to not have it come out of us waiting
Whether the
DCCs.
DCs.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Yeah, I'm trying to see if anybody want to? Not sure it's directly germane to our policy decision, but I understand the spirit. If they could get money from somewhere else, we'd rather do that than get waivers from DCCs. But
Question is, do they have all the money they need to proceed or not really?
I can shed a little bit of light on that question only insofar as that community services still engaged in fundraising for the project. It is, as we're well aware of escalating costs with these projects, I know that the budget is stretched and they are counting on this contribution to make the project successful. Whether it's the entire amount or a portion thereof, I can't speak to that level of detail. But I do know that they're eagerly anticipating this type of contribution to assist in the project.
I can see that being helpful for any other funding sources. If Sea Shelter is seen to be on side, it will help in those efforts. Councillor Will.
That's pretty much just what his worship said, what I was going to echo. I am in support of this, and in my opinion is it is the way that we can invest in this kind of housing, which is so greatly needed and 100% as affordable as it can be. So I'm in support of this.
Okay, thank you. Can you help me remember, are we making any other contributions? Affordable housing contributions or anything like that for this project? Have we been asked? No, I don't, yeah. Great. Okay. Okay, we have a motion in front of us. I was, I'm not gonna make an issue out of the sewer DCC, my comments stand, but given it's a very small amount, I don't think it's something to recalculate on the fly. But just take that away, staff, if you would, to consider the inequity of one part of our community funding something else, and we can talk about that more. So I'll call the question. He said checking at the wall, and Councillor Toth is with us. So this is a motion to give 3 readings to the bylaw. All right. All in favor? No, not right. Yes, right. Couldn't find the right page. Very good. Okay, what she said. Yep. Okay, all in favor of waiving the DCC charges? Carried. Council, if there's nothing else, we'll move on to 9.2 in the Community Safety Select Committee. Ms. Roberts, do you want to say anything? We've got the report in front of us.
If the report speaks for itself, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Very good. Councillor Rowe, do you want to? I thought you might. Do that. I'm gonna throw it away.
Teach an old dog new tricks. So we are here tonight in front of this esteemed body to seek approval or give you an update of the appointments that have been made following the invites going out. And as Ms. Roberts said, the report does speak for itself. We have one person that we have not heard from yet, unless there's any update today. But I believe he's been out of town. And so we're looking for endorsement. And happy to take any questions. All right.
Not on the list.
Yes,
Just,
Councillor Inkster.
just through you maybe to Councillor Rowe, do we have the ability to come back to council and ask for additional members?
Yes,
Yeah, okay.
Members.
Additional members on the
Yeah.
committee if need be.
yes, for example.
Expertise, fill in the person didn't get back to you, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead. You, oh, well, we can share the mic.
Yeah, let's share the mic.
Fireside chat.
The terms of reference, are they kind of set in stone, or if we accept this today? With the chair.
My wish would be personally that we move forward with these terms of references, or terms of reference, so we can get this committee going. I'll look to the corporate officer to see what the process would look like if 6 months from now we decide something isn't working or council wants some changes. Well, is that possible?
Yes, absolutely. The recommendation today is that council endorse the terms as they're presented, but a new resolution could certainly endorse a different version or make changes.
Yes, further to that, I just noticed in some of the wording, sometimes we call it the fire department, sometimes we call it other things, so just some consistency there. And also I noticed there's quite a strong kind of theme regarding emergency preparedness in here, which is great, but I'm not really sure that was quite the intention originally. So I'm just, those are my comments. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I think it's fair to say this is sort of new territory for all of us, and I'd be frankly astonished if we didn't come back or the committee didn't come back to us saying, hey, we'd like some variations or improve the consistency and stuff, but you know, I think that what matters is I had a meeting today with somebody who's having a challenging time selling their home because of the problems with the neighbors, the homeless and other challenges in near her home. So I think we got to get on with focusing on this and we can refine the processes as we go. I want to thank the people that have stepped up to really spend time. This is likely to be a pretty big job in the next several months, maybe longer. So, I don't think I did get a motion yet, did I? So I'm sure Counselor. Let's see, I think Counselor Shepherd should make this motion since he's not named on the list. And
I'd like to make a motion that we accept recommendations 1 and 2.
Yeah, thank you. And the second? Yes, thank you, Counselor Toth. Yes. Okay, any further discussion? All in favor? Carried, thank you. And thank you all again. Yeah. All right, Council, boy, now we get to the fun stuff because 9.3 has been removed. And so we're on councillor reports. Let's keep them brief. I'm sorry, but who wants to go first? We'll try it that way. That's what I thought. Councillor Toth. How can you tell I
Thank
was
you.
looking at you?
I can see you looking up at the big screen in the room. So, and I don't think the hockey game's on tonight. I attended the Long Service Awards last week, as I think all of us did. I just wanted to say congratulations to all of our District of Sechelt staff who received awards this year. You know, the one member who received a 30-year service award, that's incredible. And yeah, thank you to everybody for their service with the district. Planning is underway for Canada Day, which again will closely be connected with CIA Days. We're going to be having another annual parade in the downtown with slightly different staging this year because Canada Day happens to also be a farmer's market day this year. And I think I'm just going to leave it there for now. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Yes, and our 30-year service is even more amazing because he predated that with 25 years of service in another location. So pretty good for Doug. Okay, Councillor Inkster. Swoop down this way just to give you a heads up.
Yeah, not much. Congrats to the 4 long service ward members, and that's it.
Great. Yep. Okay, thank you. Councillor McLaughlin.
Yes, I was at that and it was a nice event and congrats to the staff for their service awards. And also we all had a meeting with regarding Ministry of Indigenous Relations and talking about reconciliation. I'm sorry. Yes, reconciliation. But it was very interesting to have so many representatives from the various ministries. So it was quite enlightening. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Councillor Rowe.
Thank you. Yes, what Councillor Toth and McLaughlin said, and then just some work with staff on the safety committee and setting up Mr. Morden's visit to come have a look at our community in early June. Other than that, just working.
Not traveling? Okay, Councillor Bell.
I'm sorry that I missed the service awards and I would like to send my congratulations. That's the evening of the AGM for the community forest. And it was actually a very enlightening meeting. I learned a lot that night and I'm actually quite excited about the future and where they want to go. The other one that happened was the community investment program. We just did a policy review session. And again, some really great people giving some incredible feedback on terms of reference, and we'll be coming forward to the council with those recommendations.
Great. Councillor Shepherd.
And I was voluntold to go to the community forest AGM as well. Very interesting talk from their biologist and a lot of discussion about their public engagement. And other than that, I think I just attended the Ronald McDonald House raising funds. It's a very worthy cause. And I really enjoyed it. Thank you.
And from all reports, you were dynamite on the drive-through.
It's my next job.
Okay, I would just, on a sad note, I attended 2 more celebrations of life this past 2 weeks. That's enough. Let's stop. Had orientation around the Green Municipal Fund Council for a couple of days last week. And guess I want to just acknowledge the challenges that Fort St. John and all of North and Alberta are going through with their fires. You know, the thought of a town of 22,000 people, I believe, being on evacuation alert is certainly sobering. And while it's nice to have this July weather, the problem is our calendar doesn't say it's July. So I think we just we'll have a lot more to say about that. On a very pleasant note, I was honored to be invited to the Army Cadet Spring Mess Dinner. All the cadets were in full uniform, and it was a formal affair that they were partly learning how to behave at a formal event, and it was great fun. So I celebrate all of them and thank them for including me. That note, we'll go to the SCRD reports. And who's ready for this? Councillor Inkster? Oh, Councillor Inkster is pointing at the wall. Councillor Toth?
Is he pointing at the wall because he's trying to leave or what?
Yes.
I will keep it short because only a couple of things to update. Junior hockey came forward to update the board on where they're at this time. They'll be presenting to the league on June 4th and are cautiously optimistic to receive a positive response to getting an expansion team for the Sunshine Coast. If they get that approval, it sounds like it's going to be an all hands on deck sort of affair for them to get running in time for the 2024 season. I also sat in on a rural grant and aid meeting, which it's part of the electoral services, but a lot of the organizations that ask for funding there also ask for funding from District of Sechelt and Town of Gibsons. So it's nice to see how they're being how their proposals are being responded to by the rural directors, especially since their asks usually are, the community asks usually far outpace the funds that they also have available to give. So other than that, the most recent water update is posted on the SCRD website. Environment Canada is forecasting a warmer than normal next 3 months. But in terms of good news, the Church Road Wellfield has larger pumps installed that will be able to provide up to 4.6 million liters per day as soon as the province issues the final license for water use. I think I'll leave it there for now, but yeah, the water update is on the website, easy to read. It's just a presentation there.
Thank you. Anything to add, Councillor Inkster?
Good to hear the more information on the water update. I think Councillor Toss sent it to all the council, and maybe staff saw that as well. So we all have that information, and it's out there on the internet too, and newspaper has it, et cetera. So people know what's going on. Not much to add about that. Let's hope the province gives us permission to turn on Church, and then we can learn from what happened there in order to look at the additional well in a couple of years. They hope to bring that online. I think council knows the expense of that project at this point. We mentioned how expensive that has become, that project. So challenging, but hopefully it provides enough water to Roberts Creek so that we have our own, can rely on our own system with us in Half Moon Bay. The evacuation issues, evacuation plans that I believe that Councillor Bell and I talked about, that I think all of council is aware of now, was presented to the regional district. My question was, why didn't they include Sandy Hook in that particular planning exercise, more than exercise, more projection, but they should have included Sandy. They said they didn't have enough money, but I just think it would have been easy to do. So I think that's a little missed opportunity there, and our council should talk about that some more. If they're going to do that work, they should include another piece of our community at that point. And just to speak to your earlier comments about Fort St. John, I don't know if council knows this. We probably do because we know people. There's a number of people from Seashell that are up there. And so they might call on fire departments like they do because some are going from the island.
They
So they're
already
calling
have.
on, because people are going from the island and I
Yeah.
guess like going from the coast, but there's people from Seashell that work up there and own other homes and second homes and people that have moved from here to there over the years. So when you speak to that, there's a lot of people that we know and that are from the Sunshine Coast up there. Thanks.
Great, thank you. Okay, thank you, council. We go then to item 11.1 and our capital projects update from Mr. Dillon and Co. We renamed your department, Dillon and Co. Got it in front of us, council. You've had a chance to read it. Questions, clarifications? Okay, well, I'll start on the page 75, just given we've heard so many situations where supply chains and deliveries. You're right at the bottom, you're saying the Wakefield culvert project is expected to be completed by November. Probably impossible to answer, but are there things that give you high level of confidence that we'll be able to deliver by then?
Thank you for the question, Your Worship. Yeah, I think the permitting process is probably the biggest thing in the critical steps on this project. The actual supply chain end of it is quite straightforward. Lots of culverts out there, haven't had an issue with that. So I think November 2023 is a reasonable estimate. Thanks.
So good, we're not waiting for weird deliveries of weird sized culverts or anything like that. Great, thank you. Other questions? Anything you want to add or explain about the active transportation network? You know, now that you got the approval, any idea when they start? Or I know you said mid-July, but is it on track?
Yeah, thanks
Yeah.
again, Your Worship. The kickoff meeting on site is happening next week, so we should be doing some construction there. I think tentatively they want to start in July, the contractor, and so there'll be that going on. Inlet Avenue also closed, so we should be expecting some good news on that in the next capital project update.
Inlet Avenue contract.
Yeah,
Tender closed.
Yeah.
We're not closing Inlet Avenue.
No, the tender close, yes.
Yeah, for Canada Day. Well, maybe we'll close it for Canada Day. Yeah. Pretty
And,
close. I gotta go somewhere
And the Wakefield project kickoff meeting already happened as well
for the lift station.
for the lift
Yeah,
station.
yeah,
Correct.
great. How about our washroom?
Thank you again, Your
No,
Worship.
You
So
don't have to thank me for that.
it's a good question. So there's been dialogue back and forth between us and the province on that. And we had a meeting with them, discussed it on the phone that, you know, we've been waiting quite a long time for this permit. And so the decision rests with them. They will get back to us and let us know how they can expedite this. But during the meeting, they assured us this would be a top priority for them. So that was made quite clear. So I'm cautiously optimistic. Thank you.
Okay. Council, anything else? Okay, great. Thank you for that. And council, we've got one item of correspondence, I believe. Anybody want like low flying airplanes? Should live at my house. Okay, are we in favor of? Yes, please. Yes. To ask, I guess to issue a letter asking for page 80. A similar letter, I assume it worked last year, so.
Yeah.
Hopefully it'll work this year if that's
Seems
what
to work.
council wishes.
One year we got 2 aircraft, so.
Oh, that's,
But can I ask a question once it's seconded? Is
Yes.
Okay, sure. Is there, just throw this out there because it's time to start walking the walk. Is there any way we can ask and see if they have an orange plane?
well, the water bombers, Colson Brothers, but then they're a little busy. They're orange.
Oh, that's cool. They're big though, aren't they? That
Yes.
one's big.
Yes.
Yeah, anyway, I just think it's a question. We
Mhm.
got to start walking the walk,
Or flying the flight.
flying the fly.
We'll maybe we'll put that as an ad lib in our official letter.
Yeah, just a
Could
question.
you
Yeah.
send us an orange
Yeah,
one?
we appreciate it, but if they have an orange plane.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. Okay, so we've moved and seconded to send a letter to the Royal Canadian Air Force to do a flyby at an elevation not under 50, 500 feet. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Okay, that brings us to the end of the agenda unless there's anything else. Great, then a motion to adjourn. Seconded. All in favor? We are adjourned. Thank you.